Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you? Very
I'm
nice to meet you.
nice to meet you. I can see you, but I can't see the camera.
Okay, I can see you. Let me. Is that fine?
Yay! How are
It's
you
nice.
today?
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. I'm so excited. I see you so much on our Facebook page, and I love everything that you're doing. And I'm so excited. I was so excited. And
I really enjoy it.
oh, I'm so glad. Well, I just wanted to kind of reach out and to the communities and I know that there's a lot of questions. We try so hard to, get our answers to you, but I just thought you guys do so much for people and you help so much, with individuals that are new and that are struggling
Yes,
and the
always new
translation.
members every week.
I know, so I just wanted to say thank you, and you guys can ask me questions and see how I could help even more. And also,
So
it's a pleasure to meet you.
there are lots of questions from our members, and we usually go to your website and read, and we have translated several of your articles to share with them. But sometimes it's not enough.
Yes.
So
Well,
yeah, we appreciate very much you reaching to us.
this is great. Yeah, I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and I just felt like this was a really good time. And this won't be the nope, they're handing me something. This won't be the last time that we do it. And I just think this is a great way to make sure that I can get you guys the help that you need. So ask me anything. And I know you sent over a
Okay,
few questions, so
okay. We got our members to send us some questions, and we chose some, and I'm sharing some with you.
that's great.
Okay, one of them is why is it? Well, this is something I know it's you've written in the book, but anyways, I'm going to share it with you. Why is it so difficult for people with hypothyroidism to lose weight? And what is the key element on the fast metabolism diet that would help us achieve our weight loss goal?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I see a lot of clients here in my practice that deal with hypothyroidism. And really, the two, I don't know if you can categorize it, but when I have an individual that has hypothyroidism and whether they're on, I'm going to talk about a couple different variations on how it's treated medically for the most part. Um, Hypothyroidism and autoimmune, both of those seem to be very complicated in how they affect the different metabolic pathways. And your questions around hypothyroidism, so we'll address that one. But, there's a lot that goes on when we use the word hypothyroidism. Typically, that means that, we have low thyroid production. Our thyroid produces, for the majority, T4, which is a thyroid molecule that has four iodine molecules attached to it. And our liver helps us to extract one iodine molecule and turn it into T3, and then that thyroid hormone goes through the body and has receptor sites all over the body, especially in areas that are rapidly growing or exchanging. That's why we see a lot of thyroid issues with show hair or eyebrows or crepey skin, collagen, elastin. So there's the production of the thyroid hormone. And a lot of times they'll check TSH, which is actually a pituitary hormone.
Okay,
It's thyroid stimulating hormone and actually produced by the pituitary. And they look to see if that number's high, then it means that the pituitary is like screaming at the thyroid to tell the thyroid it needs to be more active. A lot of people get that confused. They think a high TSH means a high thyroid. Actually, it means that the pituitary, the part of the brain that tells the thyroid to squeeze more hormones out, is not saying, hey, squeeze some hormones. It's going, squeeze some hormones. So there's the part of the secretion, and then there's the part of the conversion, which is taking the T4 into the T3, which is the active, like I said, see if I can do that again, the active hormone that goes around in the bloodstream that actually kind of goes into those receptor sites, turns on the metabolism in the cell, the tissue regeneration, the follicle stimulation, and that conversion happens primarily. I mean, there's a lot of complexity in it, but primarily with a lot of the liver and liver enzymes, specifically this phase 2 of liver enzymes and a group of enzymes called cytochrome P450, about 50 enzymes in that area. So the other thing that happens during that is the conversion from fat to the master hormone is that same metabolic pathway. So if we're not really efficient in taking what we secrete and converting it into active thyroid, it's typically because there's something that's wrong with that pathway, okay? And that pathway's kissing cousin is the same pathway that takes fat and turns it into pregnenolone, or the master hormone, which then makes estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, glucocorticoids or mineral corticoids, the things that regulate your blood sugar and inflammation, and mineral corticoids, the things that build your structure and your muscle and regulate your blood pressure, as well as vitamin D. So when we say, okay, why is it that someone has low thyroid production? Why is it that it's hard to lose weight? So first and foremost is low thyroid production meaning that T4 is low, like they're actually not squeezing enough out? Okay. It's hard to lose weight because the less T4 you have, the less T3 you have, the less keys you have to unlock the fat cells, right? The other is maybe I'm producing enough T4, but I'm not converting it into T3 because that pathway is sluggish. And if that pathway is sluggish, you're not going to metabolize fat. That's when you get pooling of cholesterol. That's when you get gallbladder issues, because that pathway is not really efficient. And therefore I can't make active T3. There's another thing that happens, especially when we have individuals that have a normal TSH but have aggressive weight gain, or maybe their TSH is like 1.8 or even a 2.3, and they still have tons of thyroid type symptoms. And that's when the body makes what's called reverse T3 or RT3. When you look at a healthy metabolic pathway, we want our T3 to be, I like it under 100 or a 10, depending on how your lab does the decimals. But remember how I talked about T4 being produced and then we plunk off an iodine, and that's T3. Well, what reverse T3 is we plunk the iodine off the wrong place. So in your lab, it looks like you have enough thyroid, but that thyroid, see if I can do this well, doesn't fit into the receptor site right. So it flows around in the body, and the doc maybe says, hey, I know you think your hands and feet are cold. You've gained a lot of weight in the midsection and over the brow area in the back, and my hair is thinning in the crown, and my eyebrows, especially in the ends, or I have cracked heels. It's why I always say look at reverse T3, because it's a dysfunctional thyroid hormone. So it's so hard. So then the other piece is an autoimmune piece like Hashimoto's, or an allergy piece. So we talk a lot about the term free radicals. I don't know if you've kind of trendy right now. Anytime we convert hormones from what we secrete to what's active, we actually produce a lot of free radicals. That's what gets things broken up, and I mean, that's how we make those active so that they can actually create action when they bind with receptor sites. It's normal. Peroxidases are normal, but in a body that is under a lot of stress, especially with cortisol, a lot of physical stress, emotional stress, environmental toxin stress, those free radicals overtake kind of the healthy hormone production. So it's hard to lose weight when the thyroid is out of balance. And even if you take, if you have Hashimoto's and you take a thyroid medication, we have to look, is it better to take a synthetic T3 like Cytomel? Is it better to take a synthetic T4 like levothyroxine, or, what's the traditional name for it? Synthroid, sorry. Synthroid, that's T4. Now, if you take a bunch of T4 and it makes your labs look good, but you're not converting it into the right healthy T3, it doesn't matter. It's not going to help. If you take too much T3 because the liver doesn't have to convert it, it can tell the pituitary that you don't need to produce your own T4. So it's a real balancing act. But the thing I think with the thyroid to remember is that a really good workup is important, not accepting anything but a really good workup. And from a food perspective, I know, I'm sorry, I know you, I hope I wasn't too winded.
No.
But from a food perspective, the biggest thing that I can say is confuse it, confuse it, confuse it. So variety, variety, variety. So when I have individuals that are dealing with hypothyroidism, and it has a peroxidase or an antibody component to it. So Hashimoto thyroiditis or some autoimmune aspect. You know, I will focus a lot on the eye-burn foods. I will focus a lot on even if I'm doing fast metabolism diet, I kind of put that eye-burn filter over it, and I use a lot of the foods from the eye-burn. If an individual has not, the eye-burn tea, yes, the eye-burn tea.
I have some right here.
That's fabulous. That's so good. And even the eye-burn 6, yeah, because I'm an autoimmune person, so I'm like, my body's always going, where's my eye-burn tea? Where's my eye-burn tea? But if maybe you're a person that came into hypothyroidism during a transition hormonally, like menopause or perimenopause, you know, we look a lot, I layer in a lot of the H-burn success boosters, so a lot of the burdock, you know, and the stuff that we have on the cleanse. So even with those individuals, I do a lot of phase 1, phase 2, and then phase 3, all do the cleanse on the phase 3, because remember, the cleanse shakes are, it's kind of neurotically put together. There's so many ingredients in it, but that's really strategic for phase 2 of liver detoxification. So that conversion from cholesterol to pregnenolone, which is the same conversion from T4 to T3, and if we don't do that effectively, the gallbladder gets all out of balance because of the lecithin and the bile salts. That's kind of the recycling plant. So I guess like the biggest thing I would say overarching would be variety. So if you're making a meal like I do, and I make several portions and I put it in the freezer, I don't eat that meal 3 times a day. I'm not prone to thyroid stuff, but I'm prone to the autoimmune stuff. If it's hormonal related, like it hasn't been that way all your life, and suddenly either through pregnancy or through some other transition hormonally, and suddenly you know you have a hormone problem, I do a lot of the cleanse shakes in phase 3. And if you don't want to do the shakes or can't purchase the shakes, you do a lot of the H-burn in phase 3. That's the way to kind of accommodate that. And then I guess the other thing is, like I said, a really, really, really good workup, because you can see when people say I have low hypothyroidism, it could be low production, it could be low conversion, it could be dysfunctional conversion, or it could even be, you know, receptor site issues, and spices are really good for that too.
But if someone is not doing the phases, it's just like a lifestyle, what kind of workout should they pursue?
From an exercise?
Or a mix?
A mix, for sure. A mix. Yeah, a mix. And you know, with any hormone dysfunction, lots of physical stimulus to this large organ, the skin. So lots of dry skin brushing, massage, acupuncture, infrared sauna. We can't underestimate the use of this organ. It's not just to hold our bones together, right? We actually do a lot with this organ from a health perspective. And so, you know, Epsom salt baths, any kind of tissue stimulus. Sorry, they're telling me okay, we got one more question. This will not be the last time we do this. I hope this is helpful. I'm super excited.
Just one more question.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think I'll go with something that is useful for us in our countries. In most of our countries, the main meal is at lunchtime.
Yes.
Dinner is always a lot lighter. Is it possible to change the optional grain at lunch instead of at dinner? This is a question we receive all the time. because as I told you, our main meal, our family gathering
Yes.
meal is at lunchtime. Dinner is some it's always something light. It's not as important
Yes.
or
Yes.
spicy for as it is for you.
No, I understand that. My stepfather's from San Miguel,
Oh,
and so culturally, I very much understand that. And you
okay.
know, let me give you a little bit of so let's talk phase one. We don't need, I mean, phase two, it doesn't matter, right? Because
No,
we don't,
yeah,
yeah. So let's talk
yeah.
first in phase one.
Phase one, neither, because we have grain
Yeah.
all
So in
3 days.
phase three, what I'm trying to do there is this is where we have a hard time when individuals' metabolism is stuck, and especially if there's a hormone component. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women, our age, right? We don't have periods, or maybe they're crazy, or the metabolism's getting more sluggish uh, because of more and more exposure to different things. So in phase three, I bookend the day with the grains so that I have the middle of the day where I've got fats in there, because fats are really hard to digest, and complex carbs are really not digest, convert, and complex carbs are really easy to convert. So later in the day, when the body's more fatigued or more tired, it's easier to get energy from the complex carbs. In the middle of the day, if we add those in, sometimes the body will extract all that it needs from the complex carbs and not metabolize the fats very efficiently. But there's a couple tricks of things that you can do. One, you can try it and see how it works for your body. I'm never opposed, because everybody's body's different. To move your complex carb to lunch, try it and see how it goes. A lot of times that's great for maintenance, not always great when I have individuals that have a tendency to gain weight. The other trick that I do, and it just kind of depends on everybody. I throw this out there, and I don't want everybody to go is sometimes I'll get that last complex carb not with dinner, but a right before bed snack.
Okay.
Now, I have a caveat. If a person is insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, or diabetic, it's so important that we do the fat right before bed. So what I do with those individuals, if we're at all concerned with blood sugar issues, is I go traditional breakfast, phase three, healthy fats, phase three, it's for snack,
Okay.
traditional lunch without the grain.
Okay.
I do a grain at our 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock snack. I add our traditional phase three meal without the grain, and then right before bed, I do their healthy fat.
Okay.
If an individual does not have blood sugar issues, I flip-flop that. So it'll go breakfast, fat, lunch, fat, dinner without the grain, and then grain before bed.
Grain for bed.
And that's more my hormone without the blood sugar. If I've got a blood sugar issue, I flip it. Is that a fun trick?
Yes, yes, it is. I didn't know about that.
Good.
So
Well,
yeah,
great. Well,
makes sense.
I'm glad that we did this. This isn't the last time we're going to do it. I want to make sure that we reach out. I know you guys know right now we're doing our challenge. I hope you
Yes.
guys are part of it. We're really having a
My
good.
husband and I are making a 10-day FMD. We
Yes.
started with phase three, and then phase one, and we're starting phase two tomorrow.
That's great.
So we are off phase with the challenge, but we are doing it.
Good. Well, it's so good to have community and to have people working together and that's why I did this. I wanted to figure out a way, and you guys are. We call you our.
Taking the time.
Well, we appreciate you. We call you our Facebook angels, and we mean that from the bottom of our hearts. So, we'll talk soon.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking. Nice to meet you. Finally.
Bye.